Safe work practices by our contractors and the subcontractors they employ are a condition of the contract they have with the Mars Pet Care site. This contractor orientation program is not meant to replace the regulatory compliance and safety training that all contractors are to provide their employees prior to working on our site. Since each project is unique, we encourage you to ask questions regarding safety, food safety, and environmental activities associated with the specific project you are involved with. Welcome to Mars Pet Care US. Welcome to Mars Pet Care US. We manufacture some of the most recognizable pet food products in the world. We are very proud of the products that we produce and our associates who make it all possible. We are also very proud of the site's safety program and take our safety record very seriously. We work hard to support the health and safety of our associates, as well as the visitors and contractors that we occasionally have on site. In addition to human safety, our sites are also committed to protecting the quality of our products and the environments that surround our manufacturing facilities. As a result, we require our contractors to understand and support both the food safety and environmental objectives established for the site. During this program, we will review various site rules and regulations, special requirements for working in a food manufacturing environment, site emergency procedures, the safe use of tools and equipment, and specific safety procedures covering such topics as lockout-tagout, hot work, and confined space entry. And finally, special environmental requirements that we expect our contractors and subcontractors to observe. At the close of this video, you'll be provided with an opportunity to ask questions, and we'll also ask that you sign off on this training and a Mars Pet Care confidentiality agreement. A contractor handbook is also available that contains the key site rules, safety and environmental procedures, and quality food safety requirements included in this program. First, we'll review some of the titles and terms used throughout the program to ensure a good understanding of the information presented. An associate is a worker employed by Mars Pet Care. A contractor is any outside company and its employees completing specific work for Mars Pet Care. This would also include subcontractors that are used by the contractors responsible for the contract with Mars Pet Care. A Mars Pet Care representative is a Mars Pet Care associate responsible for the project and the work completed by the contractors and subcontractors involved. The safety and environmental representative is the Mars Pet Care associate responsible for site safety and environmental requirements, as well as contractor safety programs and compliance. Quality representative, a Mars Pet Care associate responsible for ensuring the food safety activities and the quality of our products. A food contact surface is any surface that raw materials, foods in process, and our finished product comes in contact with, conveyors, hoppers, totes, etc. Food safety, terminology that relates to the end product, ensuring that the product does not contain a food hazard when used according to its intended use. Food safety hazard, biological, chemical, or physical agent in food or condition of food with the potential to cause an adverse health effect. Food security, a deliberate act of sabotage or adulteration to the food that could cause personal harm. Product is finished product, raw materials, and/or goods in process. GMP are good manufacturing practices, are regulations guided by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, to assure that food is safe and has been prepared, packed, and held under sanitary conditions. It involves personal hygiene, clean work areas, well-maintained equipment, foreign metal detection, elimination, good housekeeping, and effective sanitation. Contractors' employees are required to sign in and sign out at the entrance of the site, either at the guard shack or main office, and wear a Mars Pet Care Contractor's Identification Badge at all times. Please note we reserve the right to inspect all packages and toolboxes that are brought on site. No firearms, alcohol, or illegal drugs are allowed on site at any time. Once inside, park only in the visitors and contractors parking lot. Please note there's a 10-mile-per-hour speed limit throughout the site and always yield to pedestrian traffic. Also, when walking outside, always walk within the designated paths and always use the pedestrian crosswalks. When on site, you must wear the ID badge provided so it is visible at all times. You'll also need to sign out when leaving, either at the guard shack or main office. Site rules and regulations. Jewelry must not be worn in the manufacturing areas to prevent possible product contamination and eliminate any entanglement with moving equipment. This includes rings, watches, bracelets, necklaces, and earrings. Contractors are required to provide their employees with appropriate hearing protection, and it must be worn at all times when inside the site. Safety glasses with permanent side shields must also be worn inside the site at all times. Specialized eye and face protection is required when handling chemicals or when cutting and welding is performed. A hard hat must be worn in construction areas and bump caps in all other areas of the site. A steel-toed work shoe is also required when inside the site. The sole should be slip-resistant and in good condition. Long pants are required, as well as shirts with long or short sleeves. Tank tops and cut-off sleeves are not permitted. Never carry anything in pockets above the waist, as items can fall out and into the product. Good personal hygiene is extremely important to our product quality programs. Please wash your hands before entering the manufacturing area, after using the restrooms, and as needed throughout the day. Spitting is not permitted inside the site and is discouraged outside the building. Also, any contractor's employees suffering from skin ailments or communicable diseases must notify the Mars Pet Care representative. They must also be notified in advance if a contractor's employees are taking any medications that could affect their work performance. No medication should be taken or consumed in the site. No eating or drinking is allowed inside the site. This includes all beverages, gum, chewing tobacco, and even the use of toothpicks. We ask that contractors' employees use designated break rooms or areas to eat their lunch or snacks. Refrigerators to store perishables are available in the break areas, along with vending machines. Please mark your lunch bag or box with your name to avoid confusion. In addition, please note the following items are activities that are strictly forbidden. Smoking in the site. Please use the designated smoking areas. Damage to equipment. Possession, use, or sale of drugs, alcohol, or controlled substances. Stealing. Possession of firearms or other weapons. The use of cameras or cell phone cameras, as no photos are allowed in the site. Harassment of any type will not be tolerated. Gambling or solicitation of any kind is also not permitted. Anyone found violating any of these site rules and regulations will be asked to leave the premises. Please always use the pedestrian walkways and doors to avoid vehicle traffic. Always exercise caution when walking and working around the forklift equipment. Never stand behind the equipment where the operator can't see you. Working in a food manufacturing site presents special considerations regarding accepted work practices and sanitation. Although this site manufactures pet products, many of the same quality standards for human food products are followed. To protect the purity and quality of our products, never perform any work near exposed product or product contact surfaces such as containers, bins, totes, and conveyors. This includes cutting, grinding, drilling, or any work that could generate dust or dirt. Always protect nearby food contact surfaces with a sanitary protective covering. The site must also be advised in advance before any painting is done, since odors can also contaminate our product. Additionally, controlled movement traffic patterns have been established to reduce the potential for microbial contamination of our pet food products. Areas in the plant are rated according to risk of microbiological activity by a color code system. Areas of high risk for microbiological activity are color-coded red, while areas of lower risk are color-coded blue. Transition areas are color-coded yellow. Different areas of the plant are color-coded as follows. Red areas consist of raw ingredient unloading and storage, batching and mixing areas, wet processing areas, including cold rooms and boiler rooms, office areas, break rooms, bathrooms, and locker rooms, and areas outside of the plant. Blue areas consist of drying and coating areas, finished product packaging, and finished goods warehousing. Yellow areas or transition zones consist of extrusion areas and hygiene junctions. Travel patterns allowed. Travel from blue to blue or blue to red areas can be conducted in any safe pattern. Red to red areas can also be traveled in any safe manner. Travel patterns restricted. Without exception, a thorough sanitation process must be performed when traveling from a red area into a blue area. All contractors moving from a red area to a blue area must pass through the established hygiene junction, consisting of dry sanitizer trays and hand sanitizing stations. Equipment and tools must also be properly sanitized, and all color-coded tools must remain in their corresponding color-coded area. Finally, Mars Pet Care requires all contractors to observe both our knife and glass policies. The knife policy states that only site-issued knives are allowed. No personal pocket knives, multi-tools, or other blades are permitted. To obtain a site-issued knife, please see the appropriate Mars Pet Care representative. Under the glass policy, it is our goal to minimize the amount of glass and hard plastic allowed inside our facilities. Contractors are not allowed to bring glasses into the facility. This includes bottles and unprotected light bulbs in drop lights. If glass or hard plastic breakage occurs, immediately stop all of the activity in the area and contact site management. Lastly, remember all doors and windows must be kept shut at all times to prevent rodent, bird, and insect entry into the site. Site emergency procedures. The site has a comprehensive emergency response program in place, with emergency evacuation maps posted throughout the facility. Always familiarize yourself with the evacuation route from your area and the nearest exit. If you hear the site emergency alarm, please proceed promptly to the nearest exit. Once outside, report to the collection area for the building section you are leaving. Immediately report all emergencies such as fires, chemical releases, or serious incidents to the Mars Pet Care representative, safety representative, or nearby associate. The Mars Pet Care representative or safety representative must be advised of any incidents occurring on the site and provided with a copy of the written incident report. Also note there may be instances where events from neighboring businesses will require everyone to stay inside the building and report to a designated area. The site's emergency response team will help coordinate the appropriate response and provide instruction. Tools and equipment. Contractors must bring all of their own tools for the job. Please do not ask site personnel to borrow tools. If materials are sent to the site, they must be directed to the plant and include the Mars Pet Care representative's name and cell phone number, or they will not be received. All tools should be in good condition, meet all applicable OSHA standards, and included in a routine inspection report. Guards must be attached and grinding wheels in good condition. As with extension cords, hand tool power cords must be free of exposed wires, worn insulation, or taped repairs, and they should be securely fastened to the plug. The ground plug should not be broken off. A ground fault circuit interrupter must be used, especially in wet environments. There should be a formal inspection program in place for all hand tools to ensure they are maintained in good condition. Hammers should be checked to ensure the heads are in good condition and edges properly dressed. The handles should be free of cracks or splinters. Chisels should not have mushroomed heads with edges that can easily break off. No gas-powered equipment is allowed in the site. Contractors are required to provide their employees with appropriate personal protective equipment, including eye protection with side shields, goggles or full face masks, earplugs, bump caps or hard hats, and steel-toed shoes. The equipment should be in good condition and inspected before use. Specific safety procedures. Hot work. A daily hot work permit must be obtained and the work reviewed with the Mars Pet Care representative or safety representative before starting any work involving an open flame or producing heat or sparks. This includes brazing, cutting, grinding, soldering, and welding. The hot work permit must be properly completed daily with a copy posted in the work area and also on the Hot Work and Confined Space bulletin board. It's important to check the area for any flammable or combustible material within a 35-foot radius. When performing any cutting, welding, or grinding, special curtains should be used to protect others working in the area. Protect equipment with fire-resistant tarps. If the equipment is in a food processing area, a sanitary cover must be used under it. Fume extraction equipment must be used when possible, or as exposure levels require it inside the site, to protect the contractors doing the work, as well as others in the area. Before starting to arc weld, make sure the electric arc welder is shut off and the disconnect is off before connecting to the power source. Always make a tight electrical connection. Make sure your leads and electrodes are in good condition and connected to approved grounding material. Do not use conduit or load cell for grounding. Also, check any hand tools you will be using, making sure handles are tight and edges dressed. Wear the proper equipment, including eye protection, hearing protection, cap, welding hood, and protective coat. A metal container should be available for the safe disposal of spent welding rods. The hot work permit will remain posted in each of these areas through the fire watch. The fire watch must be a minimum of 30 minutes and up to 1 hour for high-risk areas, as outlined by the Mars Pet Care representative. At the close of the fire watch, the job site copy must be completed, signed, and returned to the Mars Pet Care representative. When using gas to cut or weld, check the gauges and properly adjust the regulator. A flashback device should be installed on the gas supply lines, and all fittings should be tight and gas supply lines in good condition. As with arc welding, a contractor-provided multi-purpose fire extinguisher must be readily available. When cutting and welding is completed, check the area for any signs of fire or smoldering slag. Remove the tarps and clean up the work area. Again, remember a fire watch must be maintained when welding and afterwards, and this is always the contractor's responsibility. Control of hazardous energy. The Mars Pet Care representative or safety representative must be advised before any equipment is shut down. All equipment must be properly tagged and locked out when being worked on. There are equipment-specific lockout-tagout instructions available that must be referenced prior to locking and tagging out equipment. All energy sources must be effectively controlled, including electric, pneumatic, hydraulic, and steam. Any residual pressure must also be relieved as part of lockout-tagout. Contractors must have their own locks, tags, and hasps. Once the energy sources, control devices, and disconnects are identified, the contractor can shut down the equipment and apply the locks, hasp, and filled-out tags. If there are multiple individuals working on the equipment, they must each apply their own locks and tags and control of their own key. Under no circumstances should a lock or tag be removed by anyone other than the owner. Mars Pet Care has a zero-tolerance lockout-tagout policy. Upon discovery, anyone who knowingly violates lockout-tagout procedures will be immediately dismissed from the site. Confined space. Contractors must obtain a confined space entry permit from the Mars Pet Care representative designee before entering any confined space. Contractors' employees entering a confined space, such as a storage tank, must have completed required confined space entry training. Again, no equipment is to be shut down without first reviewing the task with the Mars Pet Care representative. Once approved, the equipment will be shut down and energy sources and material supply lines locked and tagged out. This confined space permit requires initial documented air sampling by both a Mars Pet Care representative and the contractor. The confined space entry permit must be posted in the area and on one of the hot work and confined space boards in the site, and used to document ongoing air sampling to monitor the environment. Remember, a hot work permit would also be required if there is any cutting or welding involved with the work. Authorized entrants must wear a harness and with an attached safety line. An attendant would remain stationed outside the confined space. Rescues would be handled by the local fire department or an assigned rescue team. Fall protection and ladder safety. Fall protection is required when completing any work 6 feet or more above the floor surface. It is the contractor's responsibility to ensure employees have participated in a formal fall protection training program and are provided with the required equipment, including a full body harness, shock-absorbing device, and safety lanyard. All of this equipment must be included in a routine inspection program to ensure it is maintained in good condition. The safety lanyard cannot be attached to process piping, electrical conduit, or sprinkler piping. A structurally sound building member must be used. Always attached to the lanyard before stepping off onto an elevated surface. When accessing an elevated area, the ladders used must be in good condition and included in a routine inspection program. No metal ladders are allowed to be used on site. If you're going to use a ladder near a doorway or wall opening, always use a cone to provide a warning and prevent someone from walking into the ladder from the other side. Step ladders or self-supporting ladders must be in good condition and properly set up, with the legs fully extended and side arms locked in place. The steps should be secure and the side rails straight and in good condition. Again, no metal ladders are allowed in the site. This includes step ladders. Always use a ladder that is the proper size for the job at hand. Avoid overextending your reach when near the top. Never stand on the top 2 steps. Straight ladders should be equipped with slip-resistant feet and set up at the proper angle, generally at a 4-to-1 ratio, 4 foot vertically for each foot horizontally. The bottom of the ladder must be tied off to help prevent it from kicking out. At the top, the ladder should extend 3 feet above the access point, and it must also be tied off and secured. If it cannot be tied off, it must be held by another individual at the base. Fall protection is also required when using a mobile work platform. Please remember the site's equipment is not available for contractor use. Contractor employees using mobile platforms must be properly trained and familiar with the controls. When moving this equipment, a spotter should be used to help safely maneuver it. The unit should be positioned on a flat, stable surface and outriggers used if so equipped. The perimeter railings or chains must be kept in place at all times. The operator and spotter should keep away from any moving parts on the equipment created by the lift mechanism. The operator must be tied off to the equipment when it is being raised, and then to a structurally sound point when leaning over the equipment railing. The project must be advised of any large or specialized equipment before it is brought on site, and the operators must be appropriately trained on the equipment. Please note, fall protection is also required when working within 6 feet of an unprotected roof edge. Of course, no smoking is ever allowed on any building rooftops. If scaffolding is used, contractors must provide a competent person to erect, inspect, and dismantle the scaffolding. Hazardous materials. Contractors must advise their Mars Pet Care representative and the safety department 2 weeks in advance before bringing any hazardous materials or chemicals on site. This may include such materials as paints, epoxy finishes, solvents, or roofing adhesives. A contractor-supplied material safety data sheet must be readily available for quick review and reference. Once on site, they must be stored and dispensed from the proper container and clearly labeled. In addition, appropriate personal protective equipment must be provided by the contractor and used by their employees. Never dump any waste materials into the site floor drains. Housekeeping. When finished, the contractor is responsible for safely storing all equipment and cleaning up the work area. Contractor work areas are always subject to inspections by site personnel. You will be notified in writing of items that need to be addressed if they are not corrected immediately. Trash should be disposed of in contractor-supplied containers and the area swept clean. Environmental considerations. Finally, Mars Pet Care is committed to protecting the environment and abiding by all applicable environmental regulations. Stormwater and spills. When working outdoors, protect the quality of site stormwater runoff by ensuring that all industrial materials and waste are kept under control. Whenever possible, prevent equipment and materials from being exposed to precipitation. Know the location of the nearest spill kit, and use drop cloths and tarps to prevent materials from hitting the facility grounds. Never wash any waste or unwanted materials to a site stormwater drain or stormwater ditch. Work with the site safety and environmental representative to identify proper disposal options for liquid wastes generated on site by contractor activities. In the event of any spill, notify the site safety and environmental representative immediately. Ensure that all spills are cleaned up using the appropriate techniques. Specifically, non-hazardous liquid spills must be cleaned up using absorbent pads and pigs. Non-hazardous spills of dry materials must be cleaned up by using dry cleaning methods such as sweeping. Proper waste disposal. Properly dispose of waste materials in designated containers. All hazardous waste must be disposed of in accordance with applicable regulations. Whenever possible, contractors must recycle universal wastes, such as batteries, mercury-containing equipment, and light bulbs. No hazardous waste or liquid waste, such as paints, must ever be disposed in site dumpsters, open-top containers, or general plant trash. Contractors must ensure that all hazardous materials brought on site are properly stored, labeled, and used properly. Contractors are responsible for disposing of any hazardous materials or hazardous waste generated during the project and must ensure that a Mars Pet Care representative is aware of the presence and location of these materials. Further, no hazardous chemicals or color dyes may be disposed through any site drain. Recycling policy. When projects generate materials such as cardboard, paper, scrap metal, and construction debris, contractors should ensure that these materials are properly recycled. Contractors engaged in recycling activities may use the company recycling containers or provide their own recycling containers with pre-arrangement with the site personnel. The goal is to ensure the appropriate segregation of recyclable items. Let's review some of the key points of this program. Arrive at the site with the necessary skills, tools, and proper safety attitude to complete a quality job. Remember, this is a food manufacturing site, and personal hygiene is important. Abide by the established control movement patterns. Follow the required site knife and glass policies, and if glass or hard plastic breakage occurs, immediately stop all activities and report the breakage to site management. Wear required personal protective equipment for the job. Report all incidents to your employer and your Mars Pet Care representative. Never cut, weld, or grind without a hot work permit. Use pedestrian walkways and watch for vehicle traffic. Never turn off any equipment without prior approval. Remember, equipment must be locked and tagged out before being worked on. A confined space entry permit must be obtained before anyone enters a confined space. Always protect our product and product contact surfaces. Make sure any tools brought on site are clean and in good condition. Fall protection is required when working above 6 feet. No metal ladders are allowed in the site. All hazardous materials must be approved in advance before they are brought on site. In addition, nothing should be carried in any pockets above the waist to prevent items from getting lost in the product. Smoke only in designated areas. Abide by site environmental requirements. As mentioned at the start, safety is important, and we ask that all contractors' employees work safely, not only to protect themselves, but also their fellow workers, Mars Pet Care associates, and the safety of our products. A Mars Pet Care representative will now answer any questions you may have and will ask that you sign off on the information presented. Please also take the time to read the contractor safety booklet that is available. Thank you. Have a safe and productive day.